What's going on, everybody? Kenny Bomber's in the building, and it's been over a year since Tekken 8 was revealed, but in just over 3 months, on January 26th, this game will officially be released. Now, we pretty much already know who's on the roster, but there are still 4 spots left. So let's take a look at who's been confirmed already, and then I'm going to tell you who I want to see fill these 4 spots. But first, these are just going to be 4 fighters I want to see added into this game. I need to know who y'all want to see added as well, so let me know in the comment section. But don't forget to smash that subscribe button if you don't want to miss any updates on any of your favorite fighting games. Now let's get into it.
Run, boy, they coming on.
So here we have the Tekken 8 roster so far. Now we're starting out with 30 fighters, which is a great number, especially considering the fact that they add so many DLC characters down the line. They could have held some of these characters back and sold them separately. Putting 35 fighters on your launch roster in today's landscape shows great respect for your player base, so I think we really need to give Bandai Namco their flowers for that one. But let's talk about this roster, because they got a lot of classic characters here, but they also got a lot of new characters here, and if you ask me, I think these characters blend very well to make this roster look very good. Now don't get me wrong, there are some fighters on this roster who probably shouldn't be here, and we'll talk about those, but let's talk about some of the classics first. So let's start with the stars of the show. We got Kazuya Mishima and we got Jin Kazama. Now Jin can hide from that last name, but he cannot hide from the bloodline, because the plan in Tekken 8 is to kill Kazuya. That's Jin's dad. If you want to kill your dad, I don't know if you're much better than he is. Now Heihachi is allegedly dead, so we won't see him return. Spoiler alert, I don't think Heihachi's dead at all. These guys throw each other's off of cliffs, down volcanoes, and they still come back, so I think Heihachi will be making an appearance one way or another. But when it comes to Tekken, you can kind of sit Heihachi on the side, but Jin and Kazuya, this is like your Ken and Ryu. This is like your Scorpion and Sub-Zero. If you're making a Tekken game, I think moving forward, you gotta have these two in no matter what, because they take such a big part in the story. With that being said, I think it's possible Kazuya gets killed in this game. Or, if they want to pull a big swerve on us all, they could even kill Jin. We'll see how that goes. Next up is an interesting one to me because I love wrestling, but for some reason I never tried King. It's really because I grabbed onto my main character and I never really deviated from him, and King would be such a big difference. I think in this game I might step out of that comfort zone and actually try the grappler. He won me over as soon as I saw that pedigree. Next we got Jun Kazama, who I believe is going to be a big pivotal part of this story. We got Paul, who has an interesting hairstyle this time. Now, we did see in a recent trailer he actually can have the block hair, and if I was to use Paul, I used to just try to spam the big punch move he had to try to get a quick win, but I probably wouldn't go back to Paul these days, but if I did, he'd definitely have the block hair. Martial Law, I think, is probably the best looking character we've seen in this game so far. The next row, we got Lars, who is an interesting character. I was open to accepting Lars as a main character in Tekken 6, but he just really never won me over. I don't know if that's the popular opinion or if a lot of people turned around on him, but I'm still just not really a big Lars guy. Xiaoyu and Nina, 2 classic Tekken characters, are returning. I don't know where Anna is on this list. We got Nina, but no Anna. I think Harada actually put out a poll on Twitter to see if people like Nina or Anna more, and more people voted for Anna, so interesting. I don't know. Maybe Anna's one of those leftover characters. We'll see. Next up, we got Leroy, another new character to the Tekken universe. I think Leroy is a very cool addition. Now, this will actually be my first introduction to Leroy because I jumped out of Tekken 7 very early because I wasn't too happy with that game. We won't get into the reason why right now because I've spoke about that multiple times, but I'm excited to actually play with Leroy because looking at his character introduction trailer, he looks really good. We got Oscar, who's one of the most popular characters on Tekken. Not really for me, but you know, I'm glad she made it in for a lot of different people. The next one that catches my eye is Brian, another character that I'm not really great with, but I love Brian being in the game because I just love the psychotic character. I think he's a good piece to this story and actually a good piece to the Tekken franchise in general. I think this is one of the characters that needs to make it into every Tekken game. And next up, we got my main. My guy, according to the people on Reddit, it's not cool to main Hwoarang, but I've been maining him ever since he's been in Tekken, and that's never going to change, especially in Tekken 8, because he's looking better than he ever has. Next, we got Claudio, another character from Tekken 7, not super familiar with, so maybe we'll check him out in Tekken 8. Azucena, I believe she's going to be our sole new character in Tekken 8. So, you know what? They added a woman as the only new character, and that's big because that's another thing you don't really see much in fighting games. Next, we got Raven making his return, so definitely glad to see Raven in the game as well. We got Steve, a character I was really excited about when he was introduced in Tekken 4, I believe it was. Tekken 4, y'all, my favorite Tekken of all time. I'll say that as many times as I need to say it. But Steve just really wasn't ever a character for me. With Hwoarang, I like the kicks. Steve is like a boxer, so kind of the contrast just isn't good enough there for me. I like characters more who kick. If Hwoarang being my main wasn't a good indication of that, you'll definitely have a good indication here in a few minutes. Next up, we got Kuma. Kuma, I think, belongs on the Tekken roster all day, every day, should never be left out. We got Yoshimitsu, who's actually looking like classic Yoshimitsu. A different color, but Yoshimitsu from Tekken 3, to me, is the definitive Yoshimitsu design, and this one actually looks a lot like it, so I'm excited about that. Next, we got Shaheen. I think Shaheen is an interesting character, and you know what? I haven't played with Shaheen yet. I believe he made his debut in Tekken 7 as well, but I love his design, and this is one I want to get in here and play with also. Dragunov, love the design. Not a character I like to play with, but I love him actually being in the game as well. Fang, I think we kind of could have placed somebody else here, but shout out to the Fang players. I'm glad your character made it in. Now, this next one is Panda. Why does Panda have its own character slot? When Panda could have been a, costume change, skin swap for Kuma. Shout out to the Panda fans, but I think these two have move lists that are similar enough for them to just be a skin swap instead of them both having their own unique character spots. So I don't know what's the point of that. I remember back in the day, if you beat the game with Kuma, you got Kuma's ending. But if you change Kuma's costume and beat the game with Panda, you got a different ending for Panda. So I don't think this can be for story reasons. They must just have a completely different move set. And if they do, then they're going to have to stick with this decision moving forward, because some people are going to get tied to one of these characters or the other, and if you remove one of them from the next game, people are not going to be happy. But we have 4 spots left on this roster, and it's time for me to tell y'all who I want to see take these spots. So the first character I would like to see join this Tekken 8 roster, I told y'all I love the kicking characters, and who's better than Baek-Doo-san? Hwoarang is better than Baek-Doo-san, but Baek-Doo-san trained Hwoarang to be the best kicker in Tekken. It's not only because he's a kicker I want him on this roster though. I think he's a great part of the Tekken universe. He was in this game even before Hwoarang was. So, you know what? I'd say maybe we bring him back in. Maybe he has another pupil and we see him join the Tekken universe as well. These characters are getting kind of old, so you know what? If we want to move this story forward, maybe it's time to introduce a new pupil. Great potential there. Next up, we got Miguel. Normally in these fighting games, people don't like the new characters, and like I said, I always use the kicking characters mostly, but Miguel is a character I picked up, and I'm actually able to use Miguel effectively. I can win matches with Miguel. Now, don't get me wrong, if you beat me while I'm using him, I'm going to jump over to Hwoarang, I'm going to dust you, and I might go back, just to let you know it's not sweet. But Miguel is one of those characters that I really do enjoy playing with, and I would like to see him continue on in the Tekken universe so we can see the character grow more, you know? It's not, again, popular for us to love these new characters, and he is one that I really kind of got that connection with, so I want to see Miguel come back. Now we got to go back to the kicking phase, y'all, but it's a character that's actually underlooked a lot. Lee Xiaolong was adopted by Heihachi Mishima. Do I have to say anything else about this man? Harada recently said Heihachi has like 100 kids, and he adopted Lee Xiaolong. Now, I don't know if Heihachi's taking care of all of those kids, but if he's not, then bringing Lee into the Mishima family just shows his potential. He has to see something in this man to raise him to go against Kazuya. You can't leave Lee Xiaolong off this roster. I think he is a huge, vital part of the Tekken story, and they don't give him that shine they need to. Tying him into the Mishima family gives his character so much potential, and I think it's untapped. Now, the aesthetic in this game is kind of violet, so maybe he's coming back as Violet. I don't know. I hope not. I think he needs to be a serious character. Great moveset. I love the kicks. Hwoarang is my number 1. Lee Xiaolong is my number 2. So I hope they don't leave him off of this roster. And last, but most importantly, not least, we got Eddie Gordo. Now, Eddie Gordo is kind of cheap. We all know that. You know, if you're playing Tekken, all you got to do is really tap these 2 buttons and you're gonna get the win. It's always been like that. Now I know he's kind of cheap, but Eddie is a classic character in the Tekken universe, even if just because of that. But he is criminally underappreciated to the point where they turned him into a girl and they swap him in and out with Christy. I think it's time for us to do Eddie justice, and he needs to be in every Tekken game moving forward. Now, as you see at the bottom here, it says more coming soon. They did a lot with DLC in Tekken 7, and I expect them to do the same thing with DLC in Tekken 8. So there's no doubt in my mind that all 4 of these characters will make it into this game eventually, but I want to see them on the base roster. Let me know who y'all want to see on the base roster in this Tekken universe, but thank y'all for tuning into this video. Don't forget to drop a like on it and smash that subscribe button because we got a lot more Tekken 8 content coming up. Bomb Squad, let's get to that.